Chapter 7. Blake hangs out with Sun for a bit, and the two agree to try to solve who did the dust store robbery. Ruby decides to look for Blake, and while doing so, bumps into Penny. Blake and Sun agree to have a stakeout at the docks while Ruby talks to Penny about the value of friendship. Blake and Sun, waiting by the docks, are interrupted by a large airship coming in over them. The White Fang emerge, being commanded by Roman Torchwick. Blake leaps into action and holds Torchwick with her blade to his throat. I like how Blake doesn't just instantly accept Sun as a friend. She's always been distant to people, and it makes sense. She knows nothing about this guy other than he breaks the law and is a monkey boy. Which is not exactly a winning friend resume right there. Oh look, the girls' bedroom! If you had only read the manga, seeing their beds would be so confusing. Why is that one standing on books? Why is that one being lofted up by ropes and blankets? The setting is a character too, and the girls' bedroom is the most reoccurring location during their time at Beacon. It says a lot about the girls' personalities, and the fact we jumped over the girls giving it that style is a detriment to the location and just confusing in context. I really like how we get a conversation between the girls about how they feel about Blake's revelation. Getting some insight on their emotional conflict about the situation is a really strong element that was sadly absent from the show. Last time I mentioned that the line art is getting thin and really light, and I feel like it's starting to become a problem. This picture of Weiss is a little hard to follow at first glance. Her collar is blending into her hair. It's just really unfinished looking. And it's even worse with these couple of panels. I can't tell what's happening with Weiss's hair. Also, with her hair down, it's really hard to tell which one's Yang and which one's Weiss. I hope the artist isn't just getting bored and half-assing their work, because it feels like it's really going downhill when the art was really impressive in the early chapters. I appreciate that Ruby goes looking for Blake that night. In the show, they wait 3 days.
Nearly 2 days and you're giving me nothing but small talk and weird look.
Also, Ruby mentions she tried calling her phone. A good idea that was missing from the show. Though technically, it's called a scroll, not a phone. I like Penny's little speech about friendship here. She mentions friendship's importance in the show, but I feel like her words are much stronger in the manga. Sun stealing bananas is much cuter compared to his apples from the show. Also, I legitimately love the fact that Blake actually eats a banana. I like this part where Blake and Sun get to bond a little before the White Fang attack, having the two go into their own intentions, and Sun going into detail about his desire to help those who seem really upset. This sort of character element makes sense to showing us how Sun got to be the leader of his own team. He may be a thief and a runaway goofball, but his convictions to help those in need proves his worth. The White Fang look weird. Like their outfits feel stupid for some reason. Maybe it's the fact I can't tell what's a hood, what's a mask, and the masks aren't really well detailed. Their armor, looks weird. Their bodies are weird. It's just weird looking. It would seem all my gripes about the art only apply to Weiss and Yang because the art for Blake is stunning. These panels are really good. I don't know, maybe the artist just finds Yang and Weiss boring to draw. Maybe it's because they don't have a lot of blacks in their outfits. So this chapter was honestly kind of boring. The expanded conversations of Sun befriending Blake and Team RWBY discussing Blake's revelation were really good, and I appreciate the deep dive into our characters and having them actually converse with each other, but everything else in between? Nothing really happened. Blake wanders around for forever with Sun, and RWBY encounters Penny. I don't know, it's all just, it felt like filler. If you want some deeper insight with Team RWBY figuring out how they feel about Blake, or some stronger moments leading to Blake and Sun growing a bond together, then the manga is a good choice, but honestly, I would still recommend the show more this time. Without these conversations, the show still holds up really well, and at a much better pace. Wowie gee, what a good review. How long was that? What? My script for this chapter is literally only 2 pages long. No, I can't just disappear on reviewing the series and then deliver a video that's a minute long? Screw it, I'm reviewing Chapter 8 too. Let's finish Volume 1. Chapter 8. Torchwick starts the fight with a literal bang. Blake fights off the White Fang and Sun intervenes to face Torchwick with her. RWBY joins the fray, but things look grim. Fortunately, Penny brings out her swords, slicing an airship in half and finishing off the fight. While waiting with the police, Yang and Weiss meet up with the others. Blake and Weiss apologize and she gets introduced to Sun. Meanwhile, Torchwick has escaped and has met up with his own boss, Cinder, and her 2 goons. I like how Torchwick does this kickflip thing with his cane to get Blake off of him. A nice, more exciting touch compared to the show. Awesome, Sun's in the fight. Where's his gunchucks? Okay, yeah, there's his staff, cool, but where's his gunchucks? What? What about... What about... So yeah, they don't even attempt to show off Sun's gunchuck moves. This is so disappointing. That gunchuck scene is considered by many fans to be the best fight scene in the whole show. Or at the very least, really high up there. Why would you just skip over it? Ren and Nora? Fine. The Jean arc? Whatever. But now this? How many more important and entertaining elements of the show will the manga just decide to ignore? I like that RWBY tries to be a bit more involved in the fight than she did in the show, but unfortunately she still doesn't really do much during the actual fight anyways. But at least she tried. You know what? They've had better faces than this. Subpar face, 6 out of 10. I don't know why they included the airships attacking them, but based off of the level of combat we've seen in the manga before, I'm guessing the artist isn't that confident with drawing fight choreography between characters. Big monsters? Yes. Big machines? Yeah. 2 people fighting? Which is concerning. This show has many important moments that involve combat between characters, and if they're not comfortable with executing these sort of battles with their art, then it makes me a little nervous where this manga is gonna end up. We never see a panel where Torchwick boards the airship, so his departing words feel like they kinda come out of nowhere. Oh my god. It doesn't matter what medium it is, Penny's swords are awesome. As fun as it is to see Penny's swords, there is a downside. And I knew it would happen too. It's just a problem with not being fully animated. Penny's fighting style is bombastic. She does a lot of twists and turns, it almost looks like she's dancing. And unfortunately, having combat being limited down from full motion to still images is always going to be a detriment. Another thing about this whole encounter is how oddly comedic it's trying to be, especially with the little quips between Sun and RWBY. It just feels like they're not really taking this fight very seriously, which is a shame because this is supposed to be the finale of this volume. Even when Penny joins the fight, the battle just ends here with this ugly shot of White Fang members looking nervous about her entrance, and then just cuts to them waiting around with the police. Why was the conclusion to this entire 2-chapter-long fight just a gag? This isn't even funny. With their masks on, these barely look like they're even people. It doesn't portray their fear well enough to help this joke land, and the joke wasn't very good in the first place. I like how both Weiss and Blake apologize to each other. It's much more heartfelt than the show's dialogue. It's heartwarming seeing this interaction, remembering how they hated each other during their first introductions, and seeing them evolve into a real companionship at this moment, and it's an amazing progression for these characters. It's also nice that Weiss alludes to Blake's earlier lines from within the forest. Alright, they've had lazy backgrounds, minimal backgrounds, but this is just an empty white square. For this whole conversation, the kids are just standing around in the void. Come on, you could at least draw a line to imply a street or something. Ooh, Cinder's looking cool. But what's that shadowy blob behind her? Oh, is that supposed to be Emerald and Mercury? I know they weren't very prominent in the show, but we could at least give them faces. Now when we get introduced to them in the manga, we won't be able to recognize them as Cinder's lackeys, because they have no faces here. So my thought on this chapter is, I was really disappointed with it. The nice change in dialogue towards the end doesn't fix the fact that a lot of this fight was boring compared to the show. Sun never deploys his gunchucks, the airships in the middle of the fight added nothing, and Penny's whole performance was lackluster. And I know it's hard to have still panels portray combat in full fluidity, but it is possible. Full Metal Alchemist, Dragon Ball, One Punch Man, hell, even just other RWBY mangas. It just feels like each panel is cutting corners when it comes to the fight scenes. Watch the show. It's one of the best episodes of the series. Everything that's nice in the manga is just as good, or better, in the original show. It's a bit disappointing to have the finale of the volume being so lackluster in its manga form, but next time we're continuing the story. Let's see how the manga kicks off Volume 2. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you had fun. Shout out to my $10 patrons. Nako, Michael, James Dodds, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classy Critic, Surge, Dakota D, Taj, Boulder Off Bros, Noah Perkins, and Sunny Shy. Yeah, we finally finished Volume 1, so now we gotta review Volume 2. I'm pretty sure the manga only went as far as Volume 2, so we might be wrapping this up pretty soon, as long as I don't go on a year-long hiatus. Tell me what you think about this in the comments below. What do you think about Penny? Do you think it did as good? Do you think it was worse? What do you think about the way the White Fang is designed? I think they look terrible. And thoughts and opinions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.